the most powerful countries in the world, and what truly makes them powerful. Most people believe they already know which countries are powerful. The United States, China, Russia, maybe a few European nations. But that belief is based on an outdated idea of power. In the modern world, power is not just about weapons or military size. True power is the ability to influence global systems, finance, energy, technology, information, trade, and even ideology. When you look at the world through this lens, power becomes far more complex and far more interesting. And before this video ends, you'll see why one country most people underestimate is actually shaping the future more than they realize. This video explains not just who the most powerful countries are, but what makes each of them powerful in a way no other nation is. The United States, the architect of the global system. The United States is powerful not simply because it has the strongest military, but because it designed and controls the global framework that modern nations depend on. After World War II, the U.S. helped create the financial, political, and security systems that still govern international relations today. Institutions like the World Bank, the IMF, NATO, and even the structure of global trade reflect American influence. This is where power quietly begins, long before any conflict starts. What truly separates the United States from every other nation is its dominance in technology and innovation. Silicon Valley alone has reshaped the global economy. American companies control the world's most important digital platforms: search engines, operating systems, cloud computing infrastructure, social media, and artificial intelligence development. The data of billions of people around the world flows through American-owned systems. Most people don't notice this influence because it feels normal. The U.S. dollar remains the backbone of global trade, energy markets, and international finance. Oil is priced in dollars, global debt is serviced in dollars, and when crises happen, nations rush to the dollar for stability. This gives the United States a unique kind of power. It can influence or punish entire economies without deploying soldiers. And this advantage is something no other country has been able to fully replace, at least not yet. What makes the United States unique is that it does not just participate in the world order. It sets the rules of the game. Even countries that oppose American policies often operate inside systems the U.S. created. But the question is, how long can that dominance last? China, the industrial and technological challenger. China's power is built on scale, discipline, and long-term strategy. In just a few decades, it transformed from an agricultural society into the manufacturing backbone of the world. Today, China produces everything from consumer electronics to industrial machinery, medical supplies, and renewable energy technology. Global supply chains are deeply dependent on Chinese factories. This is why China doesn't need to threaten the world. The world already depends on it. But China's power is no longer limited to manufacturing. The country has made massive investments in technology, especially artificial intelligence, surveillance systems, telecommunications, and high-speed infrastructure. Chinese firms are leaders in 5G technology, facial recognition, and smart city systems. Unlike the U.S., where tech innovation is mostly driven by private companies, China's technology development is tightly linked to state goals. This difference in approach may determine which model dominates the future. China is also reshaping global influence through economic alliances and infrastructure investment, particularly in Asia, Africa, and parts of Europe. Through trade, loans, and construction projects, China ties other nations' economic futures to its own. But here's the twist. This strategy creates power and risk at the same time. What makes China unique is its ability to combine government control, economic power, and technological growth into a single, coordinated national strategy. However, China still faces a major limitation. It does not control the global financial system in the way the United States does, and its currency does not yet inspire global trust. And that limitation matters more than it seems. Russia: energy power, strategic depth, and alternative alliances. Russia's power is often misunderstood because it is not built on wealth or consumer influence. Russia's strength lies in energy dominance, strategic geography, military technology, and geopolitical leverage. It is one of the world's largest suppliers of oil, natural gas, and nuclear energy technology. Entire regions, particularly in Europe and parts of Asia, have historically depended on Russian energy to function. Energy doesn't just fuel homes, it fuels influence. Energy gives Russia long-term influence. It allows Moscow to shape relationships, apply pressure, and negotiate from a position of necessity rather than popularity. Russia also possesses advanced military technologies, particularly in missile systems, air defense, and electronic warfare, which are designed not to dominate the world, but to deter and destabilize stronger economies. This is power designed for leverage, not admiration. Technologically, Russia is not a consumer tech giant like the US or China, but it is highly advanced in cyber warfare, space technology, nuclear engineering, and military research. Russian cyber capabilities have proven capable of influencing elections, infrastructure, and information systems beyond its borders. And this kind of influence often happens without headlines. Russia is also central to alternative power structures like BRICS, which challenge Western dominance by promoting trade and cooperation outside US-led systems. While BRICS is not a unified bloc, it represents a growing desire among nations to reduce dependence on Western financial institutions. This quiet shift could reshape global power faster than most people expect. What makes Russia unique is its ability to remain globally influential without economic dominance, relying instead on energy, strategy, and disruption. Russia does not control the system. It pressures the system from the outside, and sometimes pressure is enough. Europe: institutional power, advanced industry, and diplomatic gravity. Europe's power is subtle, but deeply embedded in global affairs. While individual European countries may not match the US or China alone, collectively, they represent one of the most advanced economic and technological regions in the world. Europe is home to some of the strongest financial centers, industrial manufacturers, and regulatory institutions on the planet. This is where many global rankings quietly fail. European nations lead in advanced engineering, pharmaceuticals, aerospace, renewable energy, and industrial automation. Companies based in Germany, France, the UK, and surrounding countries build critical components used worldwide, from aircraft engines to medical equipment and industrial machinery. If global production stopped in Europe, entire industries would freeze. Europe's greatest technological influence lies in standards and regulation. European laws often become global rules because companies must comply in order to access European markets. In this way, Europe shapes how technology, data privacy, environmental policy, and trade operate globally. This is power exercised without force, but with lasting impact. Politically and diplomatically, Europe has enormous weight. Several European nations hold permanent positions in global institutions, control major intelligence networks, and possess nuclear capabilities. Europe's alliances, rather than raw force, amplify its power. Influence, when multiplied, becomes authority. What makes Europe unique is its ability to exercise power through rules, institutions, and economic integration rather than domination or confrontation. The technology race, what defines power in the 21st century? In the modern world, the most powerful nations are those that control critical technologies. The United States leads in software, AI platforms, and data ecosystems. China leads in hardware manufacturing, infrastructure technology, and applied AI. Russia excels in military technology, cyber operations, and energy engineering. Europe dominates in industrial precision, scientific research, and regulatory frameworks. This race is happening quietly, but it will decide everything. The competition is no longer about territory. It is about control of systems people cannot live without. Energy grids, communication networks, financial systems, and digital infrastructure now define national strength. And once these systems are controlled, independence becomes optional. Final thought. Power is no longer obvious. The most powerful countries in the world are not just the ones with the biggest armies. They are the ones that the world depends on, even when it disagrees with them. Right now, the United States still sits at the center of that system. China is building a parallel one. Russia is challenging it from the outside. Europe is shaping it quietly from within. Each one is powerful in a different way. And that's what makes this era so unstable. The real question is not who is powerful today, but who will control the future technologies that everyone else must rely on tomorrow. And history shows power doesn't disappear. It moves